The weather is about to get wild over the next several days as a huge Arctic blast plunges down into the eastern U.S., and several snowstorms could bring the first snowfall of the year to the western U.S. as well as the Northeast. And the tropics are getting active again, as 2 tropical storms might be forming within a few days. In this video, we'll be looking at all of this, but first, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe for more weather updates. So, here's the Euro model showing the temperature anomalies across the U.S., and pretty much it's showing above average temperatures over the western U.S. really, but cooler temperatures coming down towards the Midwest and the Great Lakes area, and that's going to be part of this big Arctic blast that really unfolds this week. And as you can see, by Tuesday going into Wednesday, really well below average temperatures start really plunging down across the eastern half of the U.S. And some of those warmer temperatures are still, kind of over the north central U.S. and the northwest, but also cooler temperatures coming in towards the west coast. But if you look, this huge, pretty much an Arctic blast of well below average temperatures really plunges down and just kind of stays there over the east, over the southeast for a while, going all the way into Thursday night, into Friday, before temperatures get, the below average temperatures kind of fade out, but still below average temperatures. And as you notice, there's actually well below average temperatures coming into the western U.S., and that's going to also kind of bring snow, apparently. The first snow of the season, really, in the Northeast, but especially in the western U.S. Look at these temperatures. This is another kind of Arctic blast, even potentially even more intense, going into Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th, those well below average temperatures over the west, and then those seem to fade out, and then you have kind of a sort of a heat wave returns to the Midwest, apparently going into next week, going towards October 23rd. Looking at the actual air temperatures, you actually have pretty much, right now, still pretty hot, like in Texas and the Southwest, where you have temperatures in the 90s, possibly approaching 100. Still really warm temperatures, but then, as you notice, that cold air starts, plunging down towards the Midwest, coming down from Canada, plunging down towards the Midwest and the Northeast. Temperatures, low temperatures on Monday night, going into Tuesday, in the low to mid 30s across the Midwest, across even the Northeast. But then some of those colder temperatures really plunge down, and then you get temperatures, freezing temperatures, going, all the way down into, Western Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, of course the Northeast, and even Ohio, temperatures in the mid 30s, but freezing temperatures going all the way down the Appalachian Mountains, all the way down into North Carolina, and maybe even far northeastern Georgia. And that's on Wednesday night, going into Thursday. And then that's probably the coldest day, but then you have still those well below average temperatures, but then it really the attention goes over to the west, where you have temperatures possibly down to like 10 degrees in some of the mountains in Wyoming. It's like, I think there's been like fires in Wyoming and all this stuff, and now we're gonna have snow and temperatures all the way down to 10 degrees. Yeah, that's quite a temperature change from what is happening now, where you have temperatures at least in the 70s, possibly approaching 80 over the next couple days. But then, as we go towards the end of this week, going towards Friday, October 18th, you have temperatures really plunging down well below average across the western U.S., and then some of that those really cold temperatures kind of end there, and then things probably warm up after that. But then, at some point there will probably be even more colder temperatures coming down, and some of these low temperatures could be approaching record low temperatures. If you look for Wednesday, they're thinking that on Wednesday you could have low temperatures, record low temperatures, maybe in the low 30s in eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, and then on Thursday, still more record lows happening in that same area. Temperatures getting down to maybe around 30 degrees. And then the high temperatures, well, also you could have some record low high temperatures in the 30s and 40s in some areas, maybe the 40s across western Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains. So yeah, some record low temperatures possible with this sort of Arctic blast later this week. And there's the jet stream really shows this huge trough just plunging down, and you have this huge ridge, but then you have this huge trough that plunges down, bringing the colder temperatures, and then that kind of pushes east. But then notice over in the western U.S., then you have a big trough coming down there. So this is really a meridional kind of high amplitude jet stream pattern, and then you still have more stuff happening, and this could, I guess, potentially be a severe weather event across the plains and stuff like that. And then you have more troughing coming into the western U.S., all of that, and then there's that, and then the Euro model showing the precipitation, and you would see that pretty much this is actually tomorrow. You actually have some snow in the northeast. You have rain, but also some snow in the northeast, even possibly near the upper peninsula of Michigan, some mixed rain and snow there. And so you have the potential for some snow kind of spinning around the northeast starting kind of tomorrow, even continuing into the middle of this week. But then notice the northwest, some of those mountains really start getting a lot of snow coming down to the northwest, and it could be pretty heavy in some places, like in Wyoming, Utah, towards the end of this week, and then you get a couple more systems possibly coming in towards October 21st, 22nd, more storm systems, and then it looks like southern Canada starts really getting quite a bit of snow by October 23rd. So, yeah, pretty active weather pattern with some very cold temperatures and some snowstorms, bringing the first snow of the season to a lot of places. And over the next 10 days, the total precipitation, really the southeast probably won't get much of anything, which is good because of all the flooding from the hurricanes that's happened. They really don't need any more rain for now. There will be some areas that could get, maybe an inch of rain from some of these storm systems, but the northwest, it looks like the northwest could get a few inches of rain, and even places in the southwest, the Four Corners area, could get a couple of inches of rain. And the northeast, maybe a half inch to an inch. The Midwest, same thing, kind of, but not a ton of rain for a lot of places. But the snowfall, yeah, there's actually going to be quite a bit of snow. A few inches in the northeast, possibly. In general, probably 3 to 6 inches for the more inland part of the northeast. And, some of the mountainous areas could get probably localized accumulations up to a foot. And then you have a couple inches, maybe, around the Great Lakes area. You could have, up to an inch or less, maybe just a dusting of snow. And then you have, across the western U.S., more significant snow over the mountains where you could have several inches, maybe a foot of snow in some areas. Some of the higher peaks could get a little more. But yeah, this is actually the first snowstorm of the season. You can see that a lot of that snow piles up in the northeast over the next couple days, but then towards the end of this week, you get all that snow fills in across the western U.S. And then the tropics are actually, there's stuff to look at in the tropics, because there's this one disturbance, Invest 94, and it has a 40% chance of forming, and this is actually going towards the Caribbean. Now, it could, I guess, keep going towards the East Coast, but I think that some of the models are really showing it doesn't really develop into much of anything, and it probably turns because of all this, frontal activity, all these storms kind of in the northeast, probably kind of pushes it out into the Atlantic. Probably. Here's kind of what the GEFS ensemble shows. It shows really a really weak system with this Invest 94, but then some of these ensembles push it further west, where it does have an opportunity to turn into a weak tropical storm, but then it really just scatters right there, and not really much of anything happens with that. But then there's also another storm kind of near Central America that could turn into something, and this one is probably one that's important to watch, because, hopefully it doesn't turn into the Gulf. Hopefully it really doesn't do that, and some models are showing that it could, but then now the GFS is really thinking it probably just turns west, and probably all this activity up here probably keeps it from coming too far north, but you never know. But fortunately right now, it looks like this is turning west over the Yucatan and then kind of into Mexico as a hurricane, potentially. Hopefully it doesn't go into the Gulf, but there are a couple of ensemble members that show that it could, but it really doesn't show too much happening other than that for now. The Euro ensemble actually shows, it shows a little more with this Invest 94, but the models are really spread out, so this is, who knows what's going to happen with this. And it also shows this storm near Central America and also kind of pushes it further west. And then with these ensembles, it shows that this Invest 94 could turn out into the Atlantic, or it could just keep going west as a weaker system. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. The GFS shows really not a whole lot with this Invest, but it does take it into the Caribbean, of course, but then it just spins it around, and then it kind of goes out into the Atlantic as an extra tropical storm. But then it does show this storm near Central America could become a decent hurricane, but then it just slams into Central America and falls apart. And then other than that, it doesn't really, the GFS isn't really showing much more activity after that, fortunately. But the MJO actually shows that yeah, there could be sort of neutral to favorable conditions over the western part of the Atlantic towards the end of October. Then it's showing, I guess, more favorable conditions going into November. But this is towards the end of hurricane season, at least the official end of hurricane season, which is November 30th. So we'll see what happens with this. If there could be, a couple more hurricanes in the end of October or going into November, we'll have to see what happens with that. And the hurricane names so far, we've gotten to Milton. The next two names on the list are Nadine and Oscar. And as of today, we've had 13 tropical storms, 9 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes, 2 Category 5s, 5 hurricane landfalls in the U.S., and the accumulated cyclone energy is up to 140, which is well above average. I don't know what fits into the hyperactive category, but yeah, definitely a lot of activity in the Atlantic so far. And so, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit the like button if you like the video. Also, share the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more weather updates. Extreme Weather Zone, out.